Rene Descartes was born on the 31st of March 1596. His father was a lawyer. However, not much is known about his mother, as she died when Descartes was 1 year old. Descartes, at the age of 10, was sent to the Jesuit school of La Flèche in Anjou, where he stayed for 8 years. However, he apparently did not enjoy this time. He said in his discourse on the method that he didn't learn much which would have much benefit to him, apart from mathematics. After leaving this school, he went to study not philosophy, but civil and canon law at the University of Poitiers. In 1618, at the age of 22, he enlisted into the Dutch army, but only remained there a year. Throughout the next 10 years, Descartes would travel all over Europe, having close contact with many scholars and writers, but decided to settle in the Netherlands in 1628. He began a relationship with Helene, his servant, and they had a daughter, Francine. However, tragically, Francine died at 5 years old of a fever. By this time, Descartes had completed his first book, Rules for the Direction of the Mind. However, it wasn't published until after his death. In 1637, Descartes published his Discourse on the Method of Rightly Conducting One's Reason. This was the first glimpse of Descartes' philosophical outlook, which he would continue in his most famous book, Meditations on First Philosophy. The Meditations, originally written in Latin, sparked a lot of controversy amongst philosophers and theologians for his ontological arguments for the existence of God, as well as his radical view on the epistemological debate. What makes Descartes stand out was that he was a committed and fierce rationalist. This was against the norm of many philosophers. They relied on God and sensory experience for knowledge, but Descartes believed the best source of knowledge was the power of the mind, using logic. His book, Rules for the Direction of the Mind, kicks off by emphasizing this outlook. He quotes, "I shall bring to light the true riches of our souls, opening up to each of us the means by that we can find within ourselves, without anyone else, all the knowledge that we may need for the conduct of life." Descartes believed that many of life's problems was a result of not using our minds properly. The way we need to use them is by dividing problems into smaller ones. He called this his method of doubt. Big questions like, what is life? Or what is our purpose? Should be divided down into smaller pieces. Descartes uses a barrel of apples as an analogy. Good apples are mixed with bad ones. If we want to be philosophers, we need to throw away the bad apples of knowledge, which is dubitable, and leave in the good quality of apples, which is knowledge of an indubitable nature. In his discourse, he came to the conclusion that we exist at least as minds, and came up with the most famous quote, perhaps in all of philosophy, cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. This conclusion came as a result of Descartes investigating the philosophical question of what one can know, and whether we are in a dream or not, whether the world that we perceive is real. In his Meditations on First Philosophy, he explores how he came to this conclusion, deducing in different parts aspects of what exists. He first goes through the argument of illusion. Being a rationalist, he felt senses were unreliable, often deceiving us, such as a stick in water looks bent. If some knowledge failed here, that would be cast into doubt. However, he knew that it would be ludicrous to doubt every single thing he has experienced. The next stage was the argument from dreams. Many dreams have felt real in the past, so what if it is the real world? Descartes claimed that we cannot tell whether we're dreaming or not. Therefore, he casts sensory experiences into doubt. It seems to be at this point that knowledge that doesn't rely as much on the senses is the most certain. He realizes that 2 plus 3 is always equal to 5, even in a dream, so he cannot doubt that's knowledge. However, he then argues from deception. An evil demon may be making him believe that things are false. Seemingly certain things, such as 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, or a square always has 4 sides, might not even be true, and the demon is deceiving us to think it's true. This is a very radical and perhaps pessimistic approach by Descartes, but his purpose of this was to find 1. Something separate from the body, like a soul, and 2. Whether this was conceivably separate from the body. However, Descartes does come to a conclusion in his second meditation. The logic goes like this: there is nothing of which I am certain. But when I say I am, I exist, I cannot be wrong about this. An evil demon may try to make me believe this only if I do exist. I am thinking, therefore I exist. He is without a doubt thinking. If he is doubting whether he is existing or whether his physical self is real or in a dream, he is thinking. He cannot deny this. This returns to his phrase, I think, therefore I am. He has found the best quality of apple that could be relied upon. This was indubitable knowledge. And because his mind could now be relied upon, he could logically come up with more knowledge like this. Descartes says, as you can see, however, that he says, I'm thinking, therefore I exist. However, the book does not say, I think, therefore I am. He says that this could lead to ambiguity, such as what does I am mean? He goes to define this I am and the I in I exist. He rejects notions such as man or rational animal, as this would lead to more problems, but defines himself as res cogitans, a thinking thing, because all his actions have one thing in common: thought. The thinking thing is separate from his body, and therefore must also be the soul of the human. Descartes wrote a lot more than this, and wrote extensively on different mathematical and scientific outlooks. We would be here all day if we were to go through every single bit of it. However, what has been described in this video is the epitome of his philosophy. His radical method of doubt saw him start again from the very basic foundations of human knowledge. The seemingly trustworthy empirical world was brought into doubt by Descartes, and even mathematical truths that he felt he was being deceived of. Rene Descartes died of pneumonia before his 54th birthday. His extensive work in mathematics, psychology, philosophy, and science has attracted numerous scholars throughout history. His legacy lives on to this day, with many adopting his rationalist approach. The town he was born in, La Haye, is now called Descartes, symbolising his legacy. His radical way of thinking and the radical method of doubt saw the art of philosophy turn a corner, and perhaps for the first time since Plato brought rationalism to the very forefront of the epistemological debate. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this, please subscribe for more content and give this video a thumbs up. If you want to watch my previous video on Simone de Beauvoir, then click on the link in the description.